I know some of you have traveled a very, very long way to be here, and thanks for making that effort. I hope you have found the discussions this week valuable and made connections that will endure long after this symposium ends. I'd like to start by acknowledging the importance of the work you do as journalists and public affairs officers to help inform and educate the public. As a citizen and a soldier, I appreciate how important it is to have an informed public that helps to provide accountable governance, and is also important in the preservation of the trust between a military and the society and nation it serves. Now, this trust undergirds the role of a professional military in a democratic society, and it is also essential to the public's continued support to service members and their families whose service and sacrifice around the world underwrite the security most of us enjoy every day and that we all want to see achieved in areas of current conflict. Now, I know Ambassador Carter has already talked to you about Africa Command strategy and our priorities, so I'll keep my remarks short and highlight just a few themes. First is the importance of partnerships between African nations and the United States. The African continent presents significant opportunities and challenges to African and U.S. interests, including matters of security and stability. In the long term, Africa Command is supporting U.S. government efforts to deepen relationships with countries that have the greatest potential to be positive regional influencers in the future. In the near term, we're working with multinational and interagency partners to address the immediate challenges of violent extremism and regional instability, including threats to both U.S. personnel and facilities. Key challenges include the growth of trans-regional networks, especially the global network of Al-Qaeda and its affiliates and adherents, and organized criminal networks that link Africa with North and South America, Europe, the Middle East, and South Asia. Addressing these threats requires comprehensive and regional approaches. Our collaborative efforts provide opportunities to deepen these important partnerships. In the complex security environment of the 21st century, militaries can advance national and collective security interests in a couple basic ways. Building partner capacity, which is our primary function, enabling allies and partners, and taking action. Most of Africa Command's efforts focus on building partner capacity and enabling allies and partners. Our investments now will yield greater national, regional, and global security in the future. By supporting the gradual development of effective African security institutions and professional forces, our shaping activities also reduce the likelihood of U.S. involvement in future interventions in Africa. Africa Command's immediate priorities are to counter violent extremist organizations and enhance regional stability in East Africa, to counter violent extremist organizations and enhance regional stability in Northwest Africa, protect U.S. personnel and facilities throughout the continent. 6 countries are currently supporting the African Union peacekeeping efforts in the Central African Republic. 11 African countries are participating in the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Mali. The African Union's Regional Task Force against the Lord's Resistance Army is another example of African leadership in addressing a regional security challenge. Tailored U.S. contributions to building capacity and enabling partners have helped to address these threats as well as other threats to peace and security on the continent. Although these trends are positive, security threats continue to grow and outpace progress in some areas. Al-Qaeda affiliate Al-Shabaab is regionalizing its activities in East Africa and conducting more lethal, complex, and asymmetric attacks. Terrorist groups in North and West Africa are more actively sharing expertise and resources, and despite modest increases in regional capacity and cooperation, maritime crime persists at concerning rates in West Africa. Solving these challenges will require comprehensive and long-term solutions led by regional African partners. Africa's security challenges and their associated opportunity costs make it vitally important that we align resources with priorities across the continent and globe, that we continue to strengthen and leverage partnerships and increase our operational flexibility. Africa Command will continue to deepen our collaboration with international and interagency partners to mitigate risks and improve the effectiveness of our collective efforts. We will also continue to work with other combatant commands and the Joint Staff to provide our best military advice to support national security decision-making. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions. And Ben, you'll ask?
Indeed.
All righty.
Okay. First question comes from Togo. Mr. Tadinho Kaku, please.
Merci. Merci, mon général. Ma question est relative au rapt de 200 jeunes filles nigériennes par le groupe terroriste Boko Haram. Une éventuelle opération militaire dans cette zone ne risque-t-elle pas de mettre en danger la vie des otages? Merci.
Thank you. This is a decision and that will be made by the Nigerian government. What we are doing is we have a small team down there that is working with the Nigerians as well as our international partners to help them however we can, and also assess if there are any other ways we can help. So this is, and we are supporting and responding to requests from the Nigerian government. We are not going to do anything except what they want, and that does not include at this point any operation that we will participate in. We will help them with information and things like that. Okay? Thank you.
The next question comes from Benin, Mr. Marcel Zumedo.
Ok, merci. Moi, c'est Marcel, le journaliste du Ligue. Ma question a rapport à la lutte contre le terrorisme en Afrique. Et avec la chute du président Kadhafi, nous avons constaté qu'il y a beaucoup d'armes qui sont tombées dans les mains des organisations terroristes. Et quels sont les efforts et y a-t-il une stratégie que Usafricom développe pour que les armes ne tombent pas dans les mauvaises mains, c'est-à-dire dans les mains des rebelles et des groupes terroristes? Merci.
Well, as you said, the arms, ammunitions, and explosives that were in the Libyan stockpiles have been used by many groups for anything from generating revenue to creating havoc in the region. And for Africa Command and our strategy, first we're working with all the African nations to help build their capacity to improve their ability to control their borders. That we're also working with many of the nations in the region to help build capacity so that they can interdict and limit the spread of those weapons. And we're working with all our partners in the African region there to help build the capacity of their militaries and some of their border forces to better limit the spread of those arms, ammunition, and explosives from the former Libyan stockpiles. Thank you. As you mentioned, that criminal drug network that is really broader than just that network, but like as I mentioned, the network from South America that comes through West Africa and up into Europe. Unfortunately, there's also a growing network that comes from the East Africa and comes across and now goes into North America as well as Europe, all the way from South Asia, is a challenge for all the nations of Africa, and really, fuels corruption, fuels crime, and fuels instability. And yes, Africom supports the efforts to limit that and works with partners for us in Southcom and CENTCOM, and UCOM, who also have a part of that solution. And as examples of what we do to help that effort, we conduct multinational exercises in the Gulf of Guinea to try to disrupt and help the countries build the capacity to disrupt that flow. We also have a maritime law enforcement program where we work with the maritime law enforcement capabilities of each of the nations. We have helped our partner nations build capacity in the maritime operations centers to coordinate their efforts. And in the last exercise that we just finished this past month, we actually had South American country participating, Brazil participated, as well as 6 of the European nations, because everybody is concerned about this because of the negative impact it has on both economies as well as stabilities. And where we work most in that area is building the partner capacity so that they can help themselves there.
Maintenant, à force de refuser de s'engager militairement sur des théâtres d'opération dans des pays où les droits de l'homme sont bafoués, les États-Unis ne risquent-ils pas de perdre le leadership militaire et moral à long terme? Merci.
Our policies throughout the region are led by our State Department, and that is a strong effort and intent for the U.S. To support human rights and to support the humanitarian treatment of all the people of Africa. As I said, what we really focus on is trying to build the capacity, build an organization in their militaries where they perform their role as a military properly, the role of a military in a democratic society where they serve their nation, their people properly. And that's really how we work our primary effort to support the U.S. interest in that area. And we have many times supported the interventions of both partner African nations as well as partner allies, as an example, the French, and we will continue to do that to support both the UN, the African Union missions, as well as some just bilateral operations. Thank you.
The next question comes from Côte d'Ivoire, Mr. Pascal Sor.
Bonjour mon général, je suis Pascal Soro, je viens de Côte d'Ivoire. Mon général, je voudrais savoir l'analyse que vous faites de la présence de la Chine en Afrique. Merci.
Thank you. The presence of China on the African continent, first in the security realm, they participate in a couple of the UN peacekeeping missions in Africa, and then most of the Chinese participation role in the African continent is based on economics and their interest in the minerals and the economic support to their economy, and they do a lot of work in that area. We don't see that their efforts are contradictory to ours. They are working to help support the African nations. And we do it in different ways, as well as, however their interests are arrayed. But that's what we see as far as the Chinese participation on the African continent.
The next question is for Senegal, Mr. Mamadou Diouf.
Mon général, Usafricom a été mise en place il y a 7 ans. Il y a 7 ans. Au début, il y avait beaucoup de réticences, beaucoup de suspicions sur la mise en place de cette Usafricom. Aujourd'hui, quel bilan faites-vous de vos actions et quelles sont les perspectives pour le commandement des États-Unis pour l'Afrique? Je vous remercie.
Well, I think that the creation of Africa Command, as you mentioned, a few years ago, was all based on the realization and the understanding of the rising importance of Africa to the world. And there's a little bit of a misperception that the United States didn't do anything in Africa before Africom was there, and that's not true. EUCOM ran all of Africa and European Command, and because of that span of control, because of the rising importance, the U.S. decided to separate that so they could have the one command focus on Africa. I think that Africom, since its inception, has done a good job picking up the efforts that EUCOM was making to continue to build the capacities of the African nations and work to improve stability and security in the region. And we continue to do that. Many of our efforts have had a huge positive impact. But most importantly, the growing capacities of the African nations. And that's why when I talked about the number of African nations that were helping each other. So when you look at the challenges that occurred in Mali and the speed with which, 11 African nations helping each other to solve the security problems has been really the biggest change since Africa Command was established. And I think that's been a result of the entire not only U.S. government, but international community to build the Africans' capacity to handle African challenges themselves.